Hello everyone, I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Bianca.
And welcome back to the Aspiring Ed PodSquad Podcast.
So welcome everyone. I'm still getting used to that new name, Chelsea. But welcome back to our next episode. Today we're speaking with Tyeisha Jefferies, and she is currently a third grade teacher at an elementary school in Camden County. But she's also coming to us today to speak about her role with the MOC, which for anyone who's not aware, that's the Members of Color Network at NJEA, and also within her role as a consultant in the Organization and Development Division at NJEA. So let's welcome Tyeisha. Tyeisha, can you please say hello to everyone? Tell us a little bit about yourself and more about, your teaching journey and even your role at NJEA.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Bianca, for having me today. As Bianca stated, I am Tyeisha Jefferies. And I have been in education now for about 27 years. I started my education career in Pennsylvania. I am a Philly girl, born and raised. So even though I live in New Jersey now, I did originate all of my education in Pennsylvania. So I started out as a teacher of science in a disciplinary school. All of the students who got kicked out of the Philadelphia school system basically went to this school, and they were deemed the quote unquote bad kids or disruptive kids. And believe it or not, 27 years ago, that's the way I started, 6th through 12th grade in a disciplinary school. And I absolutely loved it. After a year of teaching science, I got promoted to being a learning manager, which was kind of like an assistant principal position. And I ran the honors community, which were all of the students who had been through the program and were ready to transition back into the Philadelphia school. So I did that for a few years. Then I became a certified reading specialist on the elementary level. I worked in a charter school before I went into public school education. And I've been in public education ever since. I absolutely love it. I've done everything from being a reading interventionist, a reading coach, a reading specialist, an elementary school teacher, to being the dean of students at a high school in Camden County, where I currently am now a third grade teacher. So I've been bounced around. And it's been a wonderful experience because I've gotten to see things from all different lights, both on the administrative as well as the teacher side of things. And it's been wonderful. So that kind of gives you a synopsis of where I am and who I am as an educator inside the role of being certificated staff.
Wow. Well, 27 years is extremely impressive, and also to know that you've done so much in those 27 years. You've filled so many positions, you've had so many hats, and I feel like that's really cool because you reflect on those years and you see all the things that you've done, and you just think about all the people who you've touched as well. Like, you've been able to reach so many different groups of people, so that's what stands out to me. I think that's amazing. Obviously, it sounds like you're extremely involved in every position that you hold, and something that we definitely want to talk to you about today is MOC. So we just want to know a little bit more, how did you get involved in NJEA and specifically MOC, and sort of what has been your journey within the union?
So believe it or not, as much as I was involved in all of those things, the one thing that I wasn't involved in was my union. So outside of paying the dues, I really didn't know anything. I really didn't even see myself in the union. And you're going to find that a lot of members of color, at least initially before MOC, said that they didn't see themselves in the union. There was no representation. You felt like you're the only one when they did go to the different events and things like that. So right now for NJEA, I am an OD consultant. I get the opportunity to work with members of color, but I also get the opportunity to work through FAST and through the PEP grant, through health and safety, just all of these other entities as well that allow and afford me the opportunity to be with all members, not just members of color, but definitely stand up and stand out as a member of color and engaging them to say that this is our union too. I've also been in the NJEA Teacher Leader Academy. I've done presentations for NJEA. I've been in the Real Team 6 movement for equity organizing, as well as being on the healers track. I definitely started an MOC in my local. I was one of the first MOCs that started locally, and that was great. And now I get to go to other places and help other members start MOCs in their local, so that members of color feel the empower and engagement that MOC, because that's what we call it, that MOC brings. And I've also been afforded to be an RA and go to the delegate assembly. So there have been so many opportunities. As a member of Camden County Council Education, I am able to be on the exceptional children's committee, as well as now I'm dipping a little bit in benefits. And I've been in the education department. So it's been like a whirlwind of things, but they've been so beneficial. And believe it or not, before the last few years, I did nothing. Before COVID, I did absolutely nothing. And so I'm a living testament that it just takes one step. And it's like almost like once you dip your feet in the water a little bit, the water becomes like a really calm and soothing place for you to be a part of. And so you then go diving in head first. A few years ago, we went to Beck Middle School. They had a members of color event, and that's in Cherry Hill. And it was after school. And to be honest, we all got in the car and I said, let's go over to see what they're talking about. And they had food. We were like, let's go get some free food. So a bunch of us got in my car. We drove over. Another carload drove behind us. And we were just there to like just hang out and get some free food, listen to what they had to say. And I never forget, a friend of mine, Angela Adams, she said, I could see you doing this. And I looked at her like she was crazy. Like, doing what? I'm not getting up there talking to anybody. And it was Lori Gibson Parker, who's an exec member in Camden County, and she's also a board director. It was Gabe Tanglau. He used to be with NJEA, and now he's with NEA. And it was Eric Jones, who is actually like one of the founders and foundations for the members of color movement. And they were all talking, and from there, the rest is history. I've been active ever since. And if you know any of those people, you know that was like supreme top quality. It was like God set me up, because it was no way after meeting them and engaging with them that you're not going to feel like this is where I belong, this is where I need to be, and I need to be in these spaces to help other members understand that this is our union too. So I hope I answered all of your questions.
Yes, I mean, first of all, just wow. Also, just for context, everybody, like I've been to workshops that Tyeisha has like presented as like a cadre member, and she just is phenomenal. She were a phenomenal presenter, and just to see like how much can change so quickly, right? You said since COVID, that's what, 4 or 5 years, right? Like so much has happened, and I think that I'm so grateful that you've had those opportunities and you've like just flourished in them. And you're right, you can't have Lori Gibson Parker, Gabe Tanglau, and Eric Jones all in a room and not just be like completely blown away. But tell us, I know Eric is, such a like pioneer. Can you tell us a little bit more about, MOC and how it was founded and like how this came to be? Because I know you've also been like a crucial part in like helping this grow. So I think it would be important for our aspiring educators to hear, how has this become a movement and how is it continuing to grow? So like how did it start?
So we are celebrating 5 years right now, MOC, from 2019 to 2024, all around connections, community, and culture. But the way it started was basically what I've already said, which was people were tired of just seeing one of them in a room, right? And so Eric Jones, right, he's a member in, he was in Plainsville at the time, I believe it was, and he said that he was tired of experiencing the invisibility of people that look like him across the union space, right, across the association. And so he said once he started to work for NJEA as a full-time staff member in organization and development, he was given permission by his manager, who at the time was Steve Squesky, and he was the executive director at the time. And he asked them, like, listen, I want to try this. And he allowed him, gave him support, leadership. He gave him the money that was required, right? Because we need all these things to just go across the state and basically start talking to members, like to educate them, to engage them, to empower them, to be a part of what the union is, and to kind of like see what are we missing, right? Because we have hundreds of thousands of members, and we have a good amount of them that are members of color, and none of them are really being active in these spaces. And it was a need. And Steve Squesky allowed Eric Jones to fulfill the need. And then Eric took it and just flourished with it. I mean, they went across all of the different counties. They started having meetings. And one of the meetings that they had was in Camden County, where at Beck Middle School, I got introduced. It was tough for a while, because if you think about it, going through COVID was tough for everybody. But somehow MOC flourished in COVID. Those were some of the things that and times that I was engaged the most. We would get on these here Zoom calls, and they did everything like from the Zoom screen. So it's almost like poetic that we're doing this via Zoom, because that's kind of where they really flourished. And we did everything just online. I even remember we had COVID-19 Saturday prayer hour, and I would jump on there sometimes and do that for some of the members. And it's just been an amazing journey, just being able to empower members, to engage them in all of the things that they never thought about, like being a member of the delegate assembly, like running for a local office, like just getting together and just being in community with one another, because you're tired of just seeing you as the only person in the room. And that inclusivity means so much. We almost have a nod. It's like a nod that you would have when you would see the person, or you'd get so excited. Especially recently when I went to a conference and I walked in the room, and I didn't have to you almost search the room to see, is there anybody in this room that looks like me? It was so many people that look like me. I could sit in a bunch of places. Now we have a ton of work to still do, but it was revitalizing. Like, it was motivating to say, like, listen, I'm not the only one anymore. And those kind of things are impactful in ways that I think sometimes communities that have a bunch of people that are like them don't understand. And just to feel like, you know what, I do belong here. My dues dollars do matter. So this opportunity to change the way and to rethink the way that NJEA should look, right? Because you should look like your membership. So that's what MOC has been able to do, to start making it look more like the membership.
Well, that sense of community is what stuck out to me, and that sounds obviously extremely important, and I'm so happy that, Eric was able to work on cultivating that. And it was surprising to me that it was only in 2019 that this was found. I mean, this is very recent, which is surprising, but I'm happy that, now we do have that piece of the organization. To kind of speak to that sense of community, is MOC and the events that you guys have, is that open only to NJEA members of color, or is that open to, anyone who might be interested in getting involved? So Bianca, if we think about it, right, it's designated for the elevation and to support and to create a space for people of color. But we don't work in silos, right? We never have throughout history. So if you think about it, even with the women's movement from years ago, right, there were men who were impactful and who were supportive in their cause, right? And so without those potential men making a way for the women, we wouldn't be where we are. And it's the same exact thing for MOC. So do we openly welcome allies and advocates and people who have that same driven energy, that's what they know, that they're there to help to support and elevate members of color into the space. And so, yeah, we are absolutely open. Absolutely.
I love that so much, because you're right. I remember being, I think, at the Aspiring Educators Conference, And one of the speakers was saying that, if we only speak to affinity groups where there are like-minded individuals and we all see eye to eye, then, there's no change. Like, we're all speaking to each other about something that we want to change that we all agree with anyway. Like, the people that we need to speak to is like maybe people who don't see the way that we are, and we need to have like an alliance, right? Like, we need allies, just like you said. So I'm so glad that you said that. And for anybody who's listening, like, if you're an aspiring educator and you're interested in being more involved in these, like, in this organization, MOC is such a great outlet for you to do that. Like, events, there's so many events around the year, and you're right. Anytime that I'm looking at like what MOC is doing on like Facebook or Instagram, there are always so many people there, but you can just tell that everybody on there, like in that room, is A, like happy to be there, and B, just like full of joy, just like full of happiness and joy. And I definitely want to try to get out to some more, to some MOC events and be a part of it, because it seems so cool. I want to at least see some events that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. And you know what? If you want to join, they can like text MOC to 80877. That's like our text message alerts. We do have a Facebook group, like you were saying, right? And so it's NJEA MOC. And we also have, you can follow us on Instagram, right? So it's that _NJEA MOC. But I wanted to, because we always have literature and things like that, I wanted to read you a quote from a Lindenwold early career member. And she said, "The MOC initiative has created a family environment that has brought together some dynamic educators who have and believe that we are stronger together. Coming to MOC events creates a sense of unity and a sense of belonging to members who have, in some cases, felt invisible." And that was one of our Lindenwold early career members. So listen, inclusivity is a requirement. We have to be intentional. And that's what MOC is about. We want to make sure everyone's engaged in the space and everyone is feeling like they are understood and that they are connected. So it's like more than just a group. It is a family, right? And so when my sons came to the convention, because yes, convention's coming up soon. When my son came to convention and I kept saying MOC, MOC, he said, "Mom, is that Ministries of Color?" I said, "You know what? MOC is like a ministry. Like, we really do go out into the community and recruit people to be a part of us, and we wind up being family." And so it's just a wonderful, joyful space. You're right. Full joy, Bianca.
That is so nice to hear. It makes my heart happy. Could you also tell us, what are some of these, what kind of events do you guys have? Like, what are some things that you've planned in the past, or some upcoming events perhaps? Could you share a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. So MOC has been hosting county discussions since 2019 when we started, around all 18 counties. There have been masquerade mixers at the conventions, diversity brunch at the convention, female-led discussions about empowering women of color. We've done president and vice president focus groups, vision board empowerment about how we can be more involved in our local and our county and our state association. Like I said, we did the COVID-19 Saturday prayer hour. We did Wind Down Wednesdays. They've done book clubs, financial literacy workshops. We've done Men of Color symposiums, early career connections. Also, we've done some things right before COVID for helping to reopen schools in a safe way. And recently, like I said, we've done meet and greets in the various places. We've done hot topics and hot chocolate. And we just did, which was phenomenal, Robert's Rules, and teaching people what Robert's Rules are and how to properly advocate for themselves in spaces of governance, right? So we just did that. That was amazing. And coming up convention, please come out to the floor. We'll be there empowering people, having one-on-one conversation, pension advocacy, right? And then of course, MOC for Spiller, because, you know, we need Sean Spiller to be our next governor to help our pension and to just lead our New Jersey governance in a different way so that we feel educated and supported as educators. So yeah, we've also done fun things. So we've been to Broadway, done some musicals and some plays. And of course that brings connection. We always break bread together. MOC has had a conference, an MOC conference the last 2 years, totally sold out every time. The running joke is like, if you want to be a part of an MOC event, you need to make sure you register. It's not one of those events you wait and say, oh, I'll wait till next week. It's already full within the first 20 minutes because everyone knows that it's going to be amazing and they want to be a part of that. So yeah, we've done a little bit of everything and we're continuing to do the things that we need to do to get our members involved.
What about in Philadelphia too? You guys set up a tour, like MOC had a tour of Philly, no? When we were down for the RA.
Yes, we had a tour of Philly. We've had the tour of New York, right? And we've been on The View. So we've gone to different talk shows and things of such. It has been, I mean, like I said, it's just been amazing. If you can think it, we've probably done it, which is also why MOC isn't like committees, right? A normal committee is appointed by governance. You know, it's one person per county. And that's kind of how NJEA has that structure. But MOC, you can become a leader within MOC. It's not just one person. It could be 5 different people. And they get to like go off and reimagine what membership looks like, reimagine what our local association, our county association, our state association is going to look like. And it's all about you, right? It's all about what you and others want. Who better to lead the association than other members, right? And so that's what makes MOC grand, because you don't have to be inside of the box. You get to go in and say, listen, I'm going to redesign this box the way I want to, because I know this is what's going to be beneficial for the members. And that's what makes MOC stand out and different from anywhere in any other place. I mean, it's funny, something else is going on. People are wanting MOCs in their state, right? So literally, Eric started something here, we've all taken on to it, and we're all flourishing with it. And now other states, education associations are asking, what is this MOC? What is it about? And yeah, it's just flourishing.
Well, the list of events you were talking about, that was very impressive. And you mentioned how, like, there's some fun stuff, like going to Broadway. I mean, that sounds amazing. And you were saying, like, the tours of the cities, that sounds awesome. But then obviously also there's a focus on professional development as well. And you guys have a large presence at convention, and you've had your own conferences the past 2 years. All of that sounds incredible. I guess we're interested to know, you spoke a little bit about the structure of MOC and how it's different from an NJEA committee. So for any aspiring educator who's watching, who's interested in potentially getting involved and attending events, what are some ways that they can get involved? Are there potential leadership positions that they can take on? You mentioned like the little texting piece, which I think that's awesome. I think we should take notes on that and possibly use that ourselves. So are there any ways that they can, more further find out about these types of things, and just how can an aspiring educator specifically get involved in MOC?
Well, I would definitely sign up for the text alerts. Right? So you can know. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, because that's where a lot of the communication comes from. So if you're on those different things, you're going to see it, and you get to decide what you want to be a part of. I think that's the most empowering thing. There are a ton of things to do throughout NJEA. And so MOC allows you to look at that list and say, okay, where do I want to be more active in my local? And do I want to do more things with women? Do I want to do more things with pension justice? Do I want to do, more things around human and civil rights? Like, where do I want to focus my time? Or do I want to do them all? or do I want to, write postcards for Murphy when he was running for, right? Because that's something we got into and we just kind of took over. It was like the takeover. And so where do you want to go? And I think that was the most important thing for me. I feel like I'm a bridge, that I can be a resource. I don't want to be on one side or the other. I kind of want to just connect people to where they want to go and help them find, like, look, this is all that's out there. Now, where do you want to be? And I think that would be the same thing for aspiring educators. Like, here's all of the list of things we do. Come to a few and decide, where do you belong in the family? Like, where do you want to fit in?
That is so nice to hear. I'm sure that once people come to those events, find out from communication on social media that they will find their own place within MOC and see how they want to kind of, branch out in that space. So 100%. Like Tyeisha said, if you're an aspiring educator and you are interested, sign up for the text alerts. Either look on Facebook or Instagram. I'm assuming a lot of people are going to look on Instagram, but either one is valid. And come out, try it. Just give it a try for one of the events. And just as we wrap this up, I have one final question for you, and I'm curious, because you spoke about how Eric has made other states want to have this program, or how you guys are trying to go to different locals and have them set up their own MOC. So how do you see MOC growing in the future, but specifically what projects are being worked on right now? And what is the future looking like? Where is this gonna, how is this gonna flourish even more? And what projects are you specifically interested in accomplishing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, so I think that is such a difficult question, because it really does come down to what the member can imagine, right? And so I think for so long, we have this kind of cookie cutter way of doing things. It's okay, this is this, and this is where we want to go. However, when you're dealing with so many people and the leniency and freedom to reimagine it the way they want to reimagine it, you don't know where it's going to go. You just know wherever it goes, it's going to be in the direction that the members want it to go, because they're going to be empowered. They're going to, it's going to be impactful. They're going to make connections to things that you may have never thought of. So it's almost hard to just pigeonhole, because only my mind is going to think what my mind thinks, but the collective mind may be going in all kinds of places, and wherever it goes, it's going to be amazing, because look what we've accomplished in only 5 years, right? And so the goal is to just be intentional about the work. And so when I started my MOC, Eric was very intentional about the way he asked me who was involved, who to invite, how to get the members involved. And that's a difficult thing if you're in a local where people are just not interested or feel disconnected, right? But the way to do it is just like we're doing this right now. We're having this conversation, and one-on-one conversations is the way. Boots on the ground is the way. So you do have to go talk to people and have communication with them, conversations with them, collaborate with them. What do you want to see? What do you feel like this union should be? How do you want to be represented in this union? And so Eric always says, get out the trunk and learn how to drive the car, right? And once you learn how to drive the car, teach others how to drive the car too. And that's the bottom line. This thing can go wherever it needs to. We are working with other states right now to have them. They're coming down. I think some people are coming down, maybe from Massachusetts, Atlanta. It's one of the states they're coming over during our convention to kind of see, what it's like. We've had other places where we've gone on Zooms and talked to them about what MOC is like. But this is endless. Bianca, for real, it's endless. Who knows where we're going to go? But wherever we go, it's going to be impactful for members in our community. And that's what's the most important thing.
Well, I love that concept of leadership, of, everyone who's a part of sort of this leadership team of MOC, and specifically, especially Eric, they're really tuning in to the ideas and the thoughts of, their membership, and they're allowing for those ideas to really drive the boat. And I appreciate that, because I think more people need to take notes about, making sure that the people who they're leading are involved in the projects that they're working on, and the ability and willingness of members to want to share those ideas and take on projects really speaks to the community that everyone has created, and it speaks to the way that Eric has led this organization. So I love that piece of that.
And even just how much it's needed, right? Like if all of these members are stepping up and making strides to push MOC further and make sure that it grows, like see it grow, it's like you can see how there was a gap before, and now with MOC there, it's like crucial to how NJEA runs. Tyeisha, thank you so much for your energy. The way that you speak about it makes me so excited, and I will definitely be sure to promote MOC events for our Aspiring Educators Instagram and our own social media, because unfortunately many people do not get engaged at the college level, and so we really want to be showing them that there's so many ways that you can get involved, and MOC is such a jump starter in that.
Absolutely.
Yes, but I am so glad that we got to speak to you today.
Me
and that
too.
you were able
Thank
to tell
you,
us
ladies.
more about MOC. I'm very, very grateful for your time. I'm glad that you were able to join us, and thank you. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with?
No, I am just super excited that you all are doing this podcast for aspiring educators. I think that sometimes we get a bad name as educators, and I am just super excited, and anything I can do to help in the future, any place I need to be to kind of just talk to members about my experience and what's happening and why education is the best career to get involved in. No matter what they say, it is the most rewarding career. At the end of the day, I still get to see my students. I actually teach with some of my students that it's just amazing to see them. They're grown, they have children of their own, they're on Facebook, they're still texting me I was their 4th grade teacher, or their reading specialist, or their dean. It's amazing, right? Because you really are making a difference. And I just want you to remember that. So thank you guys for inviting me today.
Thank you very, very much. So yes, everybody, we hope that you enjoyed this conversation with Tyeisha. We're so glad that she was able to come talk to us. We learned so much. I learned so much. I didn't even know, and I feel like I've known you for a few years, but I've learned so much through this episode. But thank you for tuning into our conversation today, and be sure to look out for our next episode next Thursday.
Thank you, everyone.